Hey, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Can we show the window? We're not going to show the window. Probably not going to show the window. Welcome into Box 3. My name is Adam Thursby. I will be your host today for racing at Zolder, round 2 of, season 4. I apologize. I will do my best for all of you today to make sure I mute my mic as quickly as possible should I feel a cough, a sneeze, or anything else going on. I've been sick all weekend thanks to, school being back in session. And so hopefully, I'm able to hit that mute button quick enough, and there our server is up, so we're going to jump right in and get prepped for today's race. I do hope everyone is ready. As I said, we are at Zolder here for round 2 of Xbox. It's reading their Discord channel a moment ago. PCACC Racing here at Box3 Motorsports, and we're going to get ready with our AM and Pro-Am class race first. No, Blue did not give me the vid. I have not seen Blue. It is not his fault. Let's put it that way. As much as I would like to blame Blue, it is not his fault. But we won't blame him for that. I will say this, though. I know you all know that Blue decided that because he was sick, he didn't have to race or help cover stuff or really anything. And guess what? I didn't do that. I raced TCR yesterday. And now guess what? I'm here today. I wouldn't back out on you guys. I would never do that to y'all. Don't forget, exclamation pit wall in the chat if you'd like to get live timing and stats during the course of these races today. As our free practice gets started, let's get jumped over there now and take a look at who all is on course today for our AM and Pro-Am class split race at Zolder. Coming out first, James Bicing returns. James back on track today. Your boy Blue is out there racing now. He's hopefully not hearing everything I'm saying about him. I'm sure he'll tell me about it later. Michael Alheim returns to us this week along with Kenny O'Connor. As I continue my setup process here. Michael Zwanenberg, Matt Comiskey coming off of last week. Mr. Paul Morris back with us. Robert Kinney. Still sitting in the pits. Robert saying, I'm not going to go out right now. Zeno, too bad it's really late for me. Otherwise, I would definitely try to be on one of these races. Oh, it's too bad. It would be nice if you could join us. We had a lot of fun over here at Box 3. A lot of enjoyable driving. We check in with Joseph Huerta. Out in the McLaren, we got Josh Butler still sitting in the pits. Butler in his ever-present Honda. Tom Grantham racing today. And that number 211 Mercedes. Lee Melvin back in the Porsche. Terry Driscoll back with us today. The number 421 car sitting sideways. Michael Zwanenberg spinning out there on track during this free practice. Bob Charlton returning with us at Zandvoort today. Adam Willey. I raced with this gentleman yesterday in iRacing. What a great driver. I gotta say, very, just a nice person to be on track with, and someone who, takes care to not cause incidents. I enjoy racing with Adam, so I hope he does well today. Adrian Banach returning as our drivers get ready. Rick Pixel. And another BMW. Good number of Beamers out there today. So Zandvoort, a little bit different track than what Zolder, sorry. I just read that and said Zandvoort again. Zolder, a little bit different track than a lot of the others, right? Because so many tracks, if we looked at COTA last week, and everybody knows about Monza, right? You got to talk about T1 and how much of a mess T1 is. Well, if we look at T1 here as these guys run through, T1's a sweeping right-hander. It's not really one where it's, again, like a Monza or like a Coda where you've got to get hard on the brakes, bring it all the way down, T1 and 2 are relatively flowing. So I don't think we're going to see a lot of problems there. But as Blue brought up during the drivers' meeting, the bigger concern here is the chicane. And we will stick right here with Rick Pixel, who has just set the fastest lap for this free practice session, as he comes up on this chicane now. And you'll see, I kind of wanted to have an opportunity to describe this a little bit. I've driven this in the Audi, and it's a little hard to see back there, but that chicane right there, and you see what his vehicle just did. It's great to get a cut on this chicane with those curbs, but depending on the car, sorry, left-hander Joshua. Again, guys, I've been sick, so bear with me. Depending on the car you're in, you can't cut that chicane quite with the gusto that we saw Rick doing that with right there. So these guys are going to have to definitely be careful out at Zolder today. I will get all this right, I promise. I've seen Porsches go flying off it pretty good too, Josh. So I don't know, about the McLaren specifically, but I have seen Porsches take quite the lift off of those curbs. Your boy Blue setting a new fastest lap, and right there getting beat out by Driscoll with the first 129, just barely squeaking in there, but he's under 130 now for the first time we've seen today. And we see it every week. We get decent times during this practice session on every track, and then we start to see him come down during qual. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe in this Pro-Am class, or Am and Pro-Am race, if we don't see somebody get down to 128s, maybe high 128s. Michael Kozubski coming back on track today. Gerald Butz. Tristan Jongadik. I think I got it. TG. Jongadik. And Abdullah Saeed returning with us this week as well. So a total of 25 drivers on track for our first race today. Don't forget, stick around because the Pro and Silver class race comes up right after this. Today is a sprint race. In fact, while we have a moment here, let's talk a little bit about Season 4. As you see right there, we're at Zolder today. A 30-minute Am and Pro-Am sprint race, and the Pro and Silver race 45 minutes. Now, during these shorter races, we have to look at, fuel. There's a 20-minute pit window, okay? And you have to make a pit stop, but there's nothing says you have to take tires or have to take fuel. You have to take, you got to do something. And same with the Pro and Silver class race. So again, they just have a little bit wider pit window at 30 minutes because it is a 45-minute race. We return next week to Watkins Glen for another sprint race, and then to Silverstone at the beginning of October for a little bit longer endurance, 45 and 60 minutes respectively. And Season 4 will continue right on into November. Don't worry, we're not done then, because starting in November, GT3, the sequel, Trackalicious, 949 Sim Racing, and Box3 Motorsports coming together for an endurance series. It'll be our second one running with these guys. 6 hours at Donington, Suzuka, and Kyalami. And then in February, running 12 hours at Mount Panorama. You're going to want to be around for all that. Start getting your teams together now. If you intend on racing, get in early and start practicing, because those endurance races are something else. Very interesting. And iRacing continues at Box3 Motorsports next week, finishing out our TCR season at Tsukuba, September 24th, 8 p.m. UTC, 4 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. That will finish out, as I said, that'll finish out our TCR season for iRacing. But we will be back with more seasons. So if you're an iRacing person, get on Box3, come on and join us. And we will ensure that you get in on some great racing over there. Practice now running down, just over a minute left to go, and we'll get into qualification. Bob Charlton now with that fastest lap. If we take a look, 129.437. And that's why I said, I think, what we typically see during our free practice sessions is that the drivers are fast, don't misunderstand, but I don't think they really take time to throw it down full and go as hard as they do during qualifications. So, that being the case, it's one of those things that I think we're going to see sub 129s when we get into qualification for these AM and Pro-Am drivers. Chief Blaze in the chat. There we have Harry Driscoll finishing out the practice session. Bob Charlton coming across. Lee Melvin in there with a 134, 130.4. Sarosa, welcome in. Caught the mute that time. That was good. Just looking at this practice session, a good mix of manufacturers up front. BMW, Aston, Bentley, Porsche, another Beamer up there. Honda, James Bising. He's 6 right now with a 130. A lot of 130s on track. Could be some tight racing. Again, a sprint race, only 30 minutes to get it done today. That is not a lot of time. And we are ready for the start of qualification. 15 minutes. These guys to set their laps. Everybody heading out quick. Let's get stacked on that first lap. Onboard view with 105 Alheim. Let's catch up with Michael real quick and let's see if we can't wait until he comes around to start a lap. We'll go a full lap on board with Michael Alheim. Let's take a look at last week's results and starting with our AM class. Tristan Jongedik taking P1 last week in AM class. Bruce Hopkins, Lee Melvin finished out your top 3, took podium. Kenny O'Connor and Adam Willey, top 5. Michael Kazabuski, Michael Zwanenberg, and Chief Blaze along with Tom Granton and Abdullah Sayed, your top 10. Finishing out with Karan Mavji, Frank Reynolds, and Matthew Sharp. So missing a few drivers in the AM class this week. I know Chief Blaze not running. I didn't see Frank Reynolds, the Warthog himself, on track. Pro-Am Matt Comiskey walked away with it last week. Time gap of 17 seconds back to Josh Harrison finishing in second. Gerald Butz in third to round out the podium. Rick Pixel and Terry Driscoll are your top 5. Josh Butler, Bob Charlton, Nick Brown, Rogerio Santos, and Paul Morris for your top 10. Your boy Blue, James Bising, Thomas Miller, Adrian Banache, Leon Huang, Terrell Seams Taylor, Robert Kinney, and Seth Lemasters. Had a lot more Pro-Am drivers last week, but again, Matt Comiskey, a 17-second gap in first place last week. Be very curious to see if he holds on to that this week and is able to throw it down. So far, our fastest lap, Paul Morris up front with a 129.9. Alheim with a 132.6. You talked about Bising staying out of trouble. We can't even get him on camera. He's in second right now, but we can't find him. He's over there in the dirt somewhere. He's just yellow flagged and I can't find him. Somebody send a helicopter out to check for James, please. Yeah, Paul Morris, their Jag runner, our only Jag we've seen at Box 3. And now running hard, but the new fastest lap, Terry Driscoll jumping up there, beating him out by 0.3 of a second. Gerald Boots with a 1:35.75 and contact during qual. My goodness. Little door banging during qual. I don't know if that's necessary. And we still can't find James Bising. There he is. James Bising is finding his way out from wherever he was, maybe. There we go. We got him. In his Honda, currently sitting in fourth with a 1:30.205. Exclamation pit wall, the lucky zero. Should get you there. Mr. Gerald Butz. Out in his AMG today. So far, I've been made a liar of only 129s. Still a lot of qualifying time to go. Just under 9 minutes left in this session. But very curious to see that we haven't, we've seen so far faster times during practice. That usually doesn't happen. Your boy Blue jumping up there now, putting himself up into second with a 129.8. Wow. Blue just ripping in that Bentley, but as I said earlier, and I know we have 3 Hondas stacked up between Bising, Butler, and Zwanenberg, but a great representation of manufacturers at the front of this, all through the top 10, even with those. Paul Morris coming back out of the pits now. We'll see if he can get that Jag back up ahead of Blue or Driscoll. Driscoll bringing it a little lower. Got 305 now. Take a look at that delta, see who's running ahead. Boy Blue up about 0.2 right now. Charlton up about 3, if he can hold on to it. Same with Gerald Butz, between 2 and 0.3 up. Comiskey right now 0.6 up, but sitting in 11th after last week's win. Maybe Zolder not his strongest track. Charlton now up half a second in P4. Sorry, P5. That will get him awful close. Huff, we're being invaded by BOA. I don't know what to do about it. I heard they're good folks, though, so I'm gonna have to just leave it alone. Comiskey now holding on to about 4.5 tenths. They're pushing it up a good bit through that chicane. We'll see what he can hold on to. James Bising holding on to a good little gap right now as well. Along with Gerald Woods up was up about half a second. Bising making a great run this lap. Up 6 tenths. Let's see if he can hold on to it. Gerald Woods into the pits. Joseph Huerta moving up a bit into P7. See a lot of 120. So our top 5 so far in the 129s. Then you've got to go all the way down. You have to go all the way down to P19 to find someone outside of the 130 range. So really a lot of opportunity here for great action today. James Bising getting himself up into P4 with that run puts himself into the 129 club. Pushing back your boy Blue and Paul Morris. Josh Butler now up a little bit. Butler jumping himself up to P7 with that run. With a 130.060, the fastest of our 130s. Gary Driscoll running a little bit ahead of where he was before. Charlton, Gerald Butz, and James Bising all now into the pits. Setting up a relatively set top 5, but still 2.5 minutes left to go in this qual, and it always changes towards the end. Zenith Ascendant running ahead along with Robert Kinney right now. Rick Pixel sitting in P9, but up 3 tenths on his fastest. And there he goes up into 6, just like that. Always something to change at the end. Folks, if you're watching and you're not sure, you're down for league racing where championship points are on the line. Don't forget you can jump into the day and night sprints we're running right now. Nürburgring coming up tomorrow. Casual sim racing at Box 3 Motorsports. These guys get together in the evening, have a lot of fun. Beer Cup is also running right now. That runs on Tuesdays, so exclamation box in the chat to get the information to join our Discord. Jump over there and get into some casual ACC racing with Box3 Motorsports. Rick Pixel looking to push out his fastest. At one point was showing purple, but lost a little bit there. Up 3.5 tenths. It's not going to get him all the way up, I don't think, but it's going to get him awful close if he can hold it. Paul Morris right behind him, showing a much faster time. 4 tenths up right now. And there he goes. Rick Pixel jumps into P4. Let's check in with Paul Morris now. Morris is fastest, a 129.917. Now only running about a tenth up. Oh, and that looked like a rough cut. That may not get him anywhere. May have thrown some track limits at him with that one in that Jag. Right now up almost 4 tenths though. Yeah, it was hard to tell. I mean, 100% could be, but it just looked like he was out a little too far over that curb to where the sim might just tell him, no, not for you today. But we'll see right here. Because 4 tenths, we're going to see a big jump. These guys up front in the top 10 are all close to each other. As long as he doesn't get held up in traffic. Qualifying ended, and when he crosses, that'll about end it. Paul Morris in 7th. And that shoots him up to 3rd right there at the end. I told you guys, it always changes at the end. Every time you guys do this to me. Paul Morris in the Jag, getting himself up into P3 for the start of this race. Right now, only a few drivers left on track. Your boy Blue down 2 tenths. Michael Zwanenberg up about a 10th right now. And it looks like everyone else finished out. Alex Martin still driving. Currently in P23rd and down 7 tenths. As we get this set up for race gaps and get ready for the race today. Glad that lap held on for, Mr. Morris, as he's able to get himself a podium start today. We will see if he's able to hold on to it going into this race. Again, folks, exclamation pit wall in the chat if you are interested in live timing. That'll get you all the info you need to jump in there. Keep an eye on your favorite driver, make comparisons, see how they're doing. And I just want to mention, I don't have any kind of bump or anything for it, but we have started a new show every week, every Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. You can join myself and a few other league members as we review this week's race and take a preview at what is coming up. Get together for about an hour, a couple talking heads. We also rig, roast, and review people's sim racing rigs. It's really just a good time for some good folks to get together, have a conversation about sim racing and what's going on in the league. Make sure you join in Thursdays, 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. You can also watch replays of that on YouTube along with all of our races. As I said, those are posted to the Discord each and every week. And for anybody, I don't know about the rest of the world, but everyone here knows that when you're sick, you have a cold, you might use something called Hall's cough drops. And if I just may say, they add a unique flavor to Johnny Walker and something that I was not expecting. But there you have it. As we wait for this race to kick off, I am going to take a quick step away, ladies and gentlemen, just literally 30 seconds as we wait for the session to start. Terry Driscoll, Bob Charlton, and Paul Morris will start us off today. Gerald Woods going to share row 2 with Mr. Morris. Rick Pixel, James Bising in row 3. Your boy Blue and Josh Butler, row 4. Joseph Huerta and Tristan Yongedick in row 5. Matt Comiskey, coming off a win last week, starting in P11, going to share row 6 with Michael Zwanenberg. Adam Willey and Adrian Banash in row 7. Lee Melvin, Robert Kinney, row 8. Michael Alheim, Kenny O'Connor in row 9. Bruce Hopkins, Michael Kozbowski, row 10. Zenith Ascendant and Leon Huang, row 11, with Alex Martin, Abdullah Sayed in row 12, and Tom Grantham bringing up P25, row 13. We have a full grid at Zolder today. That's a lot of cars. Expect some blue flag action, to be sure. Spreads are really not, I mean, you know, if we talk about AM to Pro-Am and how we split things up and how we try to ensure that, you know, the right people are in the right class, I gotta say, we've typically seen much wider spreads in these races. I mean, we're talking about a 129.3 down to Tom Grantham running a 132.2. It's not as big a spread as I think it looks like, right? It really isn't. It just, yeah, I don't think that's as big of a spread as it really looks like. And I'm thinking we're going to see a lot of tight action today on track here at Zolder. Leon, don't be sad. That's just that many more spaces to gain. 22 to first. Let's go. Full send. Right through the chicane. You know, I hear tell that if you hit the curbs in the chicane hard enough, you can jump over the guy in front of you. Like, kind of like Dukes of Hazzard style. Should throw down on that and see if it works. 100%. As we get ready to get started here, there is, remember, that mandatory pit stop with a 15-minute pit window, I believe. I'm sorry, 20-minute pit window. So that will open 5 minutes after the start of this race and close 5 minutes before the end. So no last-minute splash and dashes from these guys today. They're going to have to fit it into that 20 minutes. Which you know, honestly, with 5 minutes left, that's a last-minute splash and dash, but, you know. OG Wonder, not going to start from the pits today. Good for you, sir. Let's go. As we said earlier, Terry Driscoll going to lead us out for this formation lap, sharing row 1 with Bob Charlton. You guys both had really good runs, a lot of 129s. I mean, you had to drop down to P8, P9, I believe P9, Joseph Huerta, to get outside of that 129 qualifying time. That's a lot of close driving. From there, a lot of 130s down into P20. So we're going to see a lot of action today. We'll do everything we can to keep up with it for all of you guys. But I have a feeling it's going to be more than I can keep up with given the amount of close times we saw during today's qualification. And off we go on our formation lap today. As we said, Paul Morris in the Jag. First one we've seen for any length of time here at Box 3, but gotta say, nice to see him out there and doing well, qualifying in 3rd today. Him up there with Gerald Wutz in the Mercedes. And, you know, at the end of the day, the Hondas spread out a little bit. So, again, a great representation of manufacturers in the top 10 for this race. From Aston to Beamer to Jag to Mercedes to Honda to Bentley to McLaren. I mean, we've really got some great reps up here. A little disappointed myself, no Audis in the top 10. But that's okay. That's okay. Also, no Lexuses. Lexi? You have to say Lexi. Is that the plural of Lexuses? No. Robert Kinney, the only Lexus on track today. and unfortunately not in the top 10. As you see, Zolder, a short track. We will have some blue flag back marker action during the course of this race. But not a wide spread between first and last. 3 seconds, only a 30-minute race. Maybe we don't see as much as we thought we would, as we think we will, because of really a tight time difference between first and last compared to what we've seen in the past on various tracks. You know, normally we see 4, 5, 6 second gaps depending on the circuit, but this only being a 3-second gap, I don't know that we're going to see a lot of back marker action in only a 30-minute race today. Can Terry Driscoll hold on off the jump, or will Charlton or Morris or Gerald Butz be able to hammer down into turn 1 and get around? Zolder, an enigma wrapped in a riddle, fast flowing corners, punctuated by chicanes throughout the circuit. Let's kick it off and get ready for green lights here at Zolder today. And we are a go. Green, green, green. Terry Driscoll pulling ahead. Bob Charlton looking for the move on the outside as we get buried 3 wide into T1. Folks going wide off in, and we got a push right there, but off into the gravel. Oh, a lot of problems through that. Pixel and Bising with contact. Terry Driscoll holding on to P1, but Rick Pixel, even with contact, able to get up into P2. Your boy Blue clearing a path with Matt Comiskey jumping all the way up into P4. James Bising with contact, but holding on to P5 right now as we come for our first run through the chicane. Some folks running off into the gravel already as we keep trying to check back through the field. So leave Melvin. Bob Charlton dropped way back to the back of the pack now. Terry Driscoll leading us out. Better check in with Butler leading Robert Kinney right now. Comiskey on the back end of your boy Blue for P3. I don't think it was death everywhere. I think there were, obviously there were incidents. We saw some cars backwards. I don't think it was as bad as we thought, because again, some of these guys with contact, Rick Pixel had contact, but was able to get out, right? He was able to get out and clear. I mean, contact could mean a bump that doesn't impact you, and it could mean a whole spin. We don't know. So maybe if we have time between races, we can try and go back and review that. And if not, that's okay. You come back on Thursdays for recovery drive. We're going to go through it. I guarantee it that. So Pixel around Blue, but now going to apply pressure to Driscoll. Gerald Butz into the pits after that. So it looked like Pixel was closing in tight on Driscoll, but now Driscoll just running away with it. Now almost a 2-second gap. Kazbuski into the pits. That will not clear their pit stop, guys. Don't forget, pit window does not open until 25 minutes left to go in this race. Let's check in on Adrian Banache and Adam Willey off track and losing 3 spots, now 4. No contact there with another driver. Now down 5 spots to P14. Penny getting around on the inside of Butler. Butler dragging gravel and takes out the elf sign. Zwanenberg now right on the back end of Butler's Honda. Terry Driscoll setting our fastest lap here with a 1:30.805, no doubt, with that clear air in front of him. But Matt Comiskey sets a new one A 277. Butler sliding back there. Or no, I'm sorry, is that Kenny O'Connor? O'Connor sliding through the corner. I'm sorry, Zwanenberg. Holy cow, if I keep up. O'Connor making contact with Zwanenberg. Now Bruce Hopkins leading Zwanenberg and Lee Melvin around. So far, the mute's been with me, guys. You haven't had to hear one cough. But a tight pack here. Bruce Hopkins leading the way of Michael Zwanenberg, Lee Melvin. Charlton not that far back either. You see him right there on the bottom of your screen in that BMW. Alex Martin going to feel pressure now from Tom Grantham. Adam Willey with trouble all the way back to P22 at this point. Oh, and wow, that's not good. Whoa, and this just happened. Oh my, oh my, oh my, oh my. Wow. Wow, what a pile up there. We've got contact between Saeed, Willie, Martin. Holy cow. I do not know what happened there, but it has been marked down. And I hate to say it for the third time in such a close time, but this is why I have a notebook in front of me. I'll show you guys between races, but I'm actually keeping a notebook so that we can review these things during the Thursday show. So lap 3, focused on car number, just because I know they were involved, car number 105, Michael Alheim. And we'll be able to pull that back and take a look later in the week if we don't have an opportunity to today. But let's catch up with Lee Melvin, Bob Charlton, and Michael Zwanenberg now. Very tight pack coming through. Melvin able to lead this out in the Porsche so far, making contact with Zwanenberg, but not enough to take either off track. Charlton right there, though. That got very brutal very fast. Now, the only good part here is that if these guys have to head into the pits, they should be able to clear their pit stop because we are now within the pit window. It means going the rest of this race with, you know, they better make sure they put enough fuel on, but hopefully they're able to hold on to it. Robert Kinney now into the pits. Kenny O'Connor. Everybody heading into the pits after that. Half the field's going to be in the pits. Your boy Blue running in third. That's right, in the chat. Can he hold it? We shall see. Matt Comiskey now coming under pressure from James Bising. We watched Comiskey take the Pro-Am win last week. If James Nugget Bising is able to apply some pressure and find a gap here. Melvin and Charlton back here battling as well. Charlton with pace. I mean, I got to imagine. Take a look here. So Lee Melvin right now, lap times, average lap times for these 4 laps, a 1:33.6. Charlton running a 1:33.1, so about a half a second gap there. Charlton's got pace on Melvin. He's just got to look for the opportunity. At least a few drivers able to clear pit stops there at the back of the pack. Charlton not able to find a hole yet. Keeping an eye up on P4, James Bising. Comiskey able to get around Bising now. Currently in P4, about 1.8 off the back of your boy Blue. Whoa, and contact there. My goodness, let's back that up real quick. Where did it happen? Oh, it looks like an individual problem on the part of Lee Melvin, and ended up hanging up other drivers. James Bising off track now and losing position quickly. Losing spots to Tristan, Joseph, Adrian, and Josh Butler. So we've seen a little bit of everything today. I mean, obviously contact, we've seen that a few times, but as we see Driscoll gets the new fastest lap today. But we've also seen some drivers who just could not hold on to their own lap and have thrown themselves off track. Zenith Ascendant now able to get around Melvin. I think Melvin's hurting after that previous incident. Alheim able to get around very handily. Oh, no doubt we'll see Melvin dive into the pits here. As expected, as Alheim continues on in P13, and now we've got a battle between Joseph Huerta and Adrian Banache. Terry Driscoll continuing to run with it, now a 1.5 second gap back to Pixel. And as we usually do, go back here and take a look at the position delta for the first half of this race, well, the first 10 minutes really. Rick Pixel up 3 spots to number 2. Your boy Blue taking 4, but Comiskey up 7 so far, along with Adrian Banache up 7. Huerta up 3. Tristan Jongadek up 5. Bruce Hopkins having a great race, up 9 spots to number 10. Great run for him. And now taking up P9 over James Bising. So a good bit more trouble this week in the, and Rick Pixel now yellow flagged. Back that up and see if we catch him right there, throwing the curb. Your boy Blue and Matt Comiskey both able to get around. Pixel now sitting in 4th after that, with about a 4-second gap back to Tristan Jongadek. So your boy Blue currently sitting in P2. Again, is this something he's going to be able to hold on to throughout the course of this race? Pixel's vehicle not looking healthy as he heads into the pits, maybe in there for a bit. As we jump on board with Driscoll. Michael Alheim now into the pits. Robert Kinney moving up over both. And Rick Pixel in there a long time, just now coming out. 33-second pit stop. That's a long time compared to some of these other we see. I mean, Robert Kinney only 12.8 seconds. Bob Charlton only 25.4. Kenny O'Connor 21.7. You can tell who had the damage because they're all above 30 seconds. Every one of them. Check in on Blue real quick as he holds on to P2 right now. Still need to make that mandatory pit stop. Our entire top 9 still need to run it along with Alheim. Just now coming out. We'll see if his clears. I'm not sure that it did. James Bising now catching up on the back end of Michael Zwanenberg. Yeah, that's the hard thing to know. If he didn't drop fuel in and just did repairs, it's not going to count. Joseph Huerta and Adrian Banach coming together now. Huerta bouncing around the back end of that McLaren. We see a little swivel there. Tough racing here today at Zolder. Well, and here's the other thing, Lucky Zero. This may not be 100% accurate, what you're seeing on your screen, and here's why. If he threw down, you know, I put in the number of mandatory stops, which is 1. I put in the expected stop time, which is, for today, I put 15 seconds. Now, the thing is, if he did a splash and dash, it counts and clears it for him in the sim. It does not count and clear it here if his stop time was only, say, 10 seconds, 8 seconds, something like that. That I can admit. It's hard to tell with races like this. I could set a lower time, but I set that right as we were getting started, so it's entirely possible. Let's take a look here, where if I can find him. So he was in the pits for 14.3 seconds. So it's possible that my software did not pick that up as a valid pit stop. So I would not put a lot of stock into what you're seeing on your screen right now. And I will adjust the time for the next race to make sure I knock it back to about 5 seconds, since splash and dashes are possible. James Bising not able to close this gap up to Zwanenberg. Try and get himself back towards the front here. Just over 13 minutes left to go in this first of 2 races today. Again, stick around for our Pro and Silver class race, which will come up right after this, as Matt Comiskey heads into the pits now. Comiskey already back out, and you'll see with Comiskey, I'm willing to bet you it will not clear that pit stop for Comiskey. He was only in for 5 seconds. And even if I change it now, it doesn't help. It didn't clear it for him, so. But we know he's been in. Bising now trying to tighten it back up. So far unable to find a gap. Weising and Zwanenberg now catching up on the back end of Kenny O'Connor. Terry Driscoll continues to run away with this. Your boy Blue unable to close the gap up there, now up to about 3 seconds. But Blue doing a great job holding on so far. We'll keep watching as we wait to see these guys head into the pits, our front runners. Michael Alheim going off track. Tom Grantham able to get around up into P15. Oh, and James Bising off. Let's see if we can see what happened back there. Welcome to the chicane, Mr. Bising. That is what can happen and why we talked about it at the beginning of this race. Bruce Hopkins into the pits. Matt Comiskey pulling him back up into P7. So now, with not having to play defense, can Zwanenberg catch up to Kenny O'Connor, who's been right in front of him this whole time, but he had to keep Bising at bay. So now we've got to see if he's got opportunity and pace on O'Connor. So just taking a look during the course of this stint, both these guys having made their pit stop, and there he goes, Zwanenberg around the outside, looking for the opportunity. O'Connor's average lap time across the 9 laps they've completed, a 1:32.616. Yeah, Bob Charlton, if he can keep himself out of trouble back there with a 1:30.110 average lap time, that's a 2-second gap. I think Charlton is going to get himself around. Even Zwanenberg going to look to close that gap now. Kinney yellow flagged. Lee Melvin with a yellow flag further back. Terry Driscoll continuing to lead this race, getting caught up in back marker traffic. But Blue still not really able to close that gap very much. Comiskey into the pits. Now, we saw him clear one already, unless it did not clear for him. But back in now. And there, Terry Driscoll heads into the pits. Your boy Blue heading in right behind him. Tristan Yonadic heading in right behind him. All of our drivers are coming in. Joseph Huerta, all of them waiting for the last possible moment, going for that overcut. Our top 4 now all into the pits at the same time. But we're going to focus right here on Blue because he's a lot further ahead of Driscoll. Now Driscoll more than likely, both these guys more than likely going for that splash and dash. Let's see who can sneak out first. Our focus on Terry Driscoll, who was leading this race up to this point, and Blue, it looks like Blue already moving. Already on his way out. Terry Driscoll still sitting in the pits at this time. So Blue back out on track in P2. Banach is still going to have to come into these pits. And it looks to me like your boy Blue is going to be leading this race once Banach comes in. Huerta now out of the pits. See if we can bring our gap times up. 16-second lead your boy Blue is carrying. Josh Butler now out, and Terry Driscoll now heading back out on track. With Terry Driscoll going to have to play immediate defense. Bruce Hopkins right there as he comes out. And Rick Pixel going to join this fray. Bob Charlton getting around Robert Kinney a little further back for P9. Adrian Banach now into the pits. We'll see if Blue gets around before Banach gets back out. There was a good bit of a gap there before our times disappeared. Pull the camera back and take a look. Adrian Banach still sitting. Looks like Blue has opportunity here and is going to be able to get himself up into P1. Yes, he does. Terry Driscoll getting around Josh Butler there through the corner to take up P4. Your boy Blue now out and leading this race. Adrian Banach now clearing that pit stop, coming back out in second, but with a 16-second gap up to Blue with only 4.5 minutes left to go. I don't see that gap closing. It is Blue's race to lose, ladies and gentlemen. Josh Butler, Rick Pixel now. Butler holding on through the chicane. You're not lying, Huff. He needs to just maintain, right? He doesn't need to go fast. 16 seconds is going to be a lot to make up in only 3.5 minutes. Your boy Blue with the pit strategy that got him ahead of Terry Driscoll to take up P1. Adrian Banach back out with a 17-second gap at this point. Patrick coming at us. That livery from Adrian. Oh, and Terry Driscoll back into the pits. So Driscoll back into the pits now, dropping position one after another. Josh Butler still under pressure from Rick Pixel. Kenny O'Connor and Matt Comiskey coming together a little further back for P13. Driscoll dropping off fast all the way to P12. Sad to see for someone who was leading this race for most of it. Butler having a great race here as well, holding Rick Pixel at bay to this point. Let's take a look at the position deltas for today's race. I mean, look, Blue having a fantastic race, up 6 spots into P1 in that Bentley, but Banach up 12. Bruce Hopkins up 13 places during the course of this race. Tom Grantham with that move right there of Terry Driscoll just now coming out of the pits, up 11 spots. Some of these guys having great races, especially your boy Blue up there in P1 right now. But I gotta say, Banach has been stable and steady, up 12 spots. Huerta up 6, Butler up 4, and Butler doing everything he can to hold on to those gains as he fights Rick Pixel here right to the end. Panache and Huerta now battling. So this blue should be able to open this gap up for the last minute and a half of this race. Panache having to hold Huerta at bay and play defense. Already flipped position once. How hard do you push? Butler and Pixel coming back together. It's going to be a run right to the end for P4 here. Butler feeling every ounce of that pressure as he gets through this chicane. Going to be one more, should be one more lap for these guys. Excuse me, folks. Again, I try. Apologies for anyone I just grodied out a little bit. Oh, and Pixel looking to the inside. Is Butler going to hold on? James Bising picking up P10 over Michael Zwanenberg further back. 19 laps deep. Josh Butler holding on here to the end. Great defense against Rick Pixel today. And there your winner, folks. Your boy Blue takes it home in the number 614 Bentley. Let's go, my man. There he is. Huerta finishing. Adrian Panache in second. Joseph Huerta in third. As we watch this battle right to the end, Josh Butler gonna hold on. Is he gonna hold on? He is for P4. Rick Pixel P5. Bruce Hopkins P6. But we got another battle. Robert Kinney and Michael Zwanenberg for P9. What are you doing? Thank you. Robert Kinney in that Lexus, keeping Zwanenberg at bay. This will be our next closest finish. Bising right there. Where's Bising going to go? Is he going to get around Zwanenberg here at the end? No, he's not. Robert Kinney holds on. Michael Zwanenberg and James Bising finishes. It's not even showing me the gap. It was so close. Bising right there trying to take P10, and it just did not work out. Matt Comiskey, P12. Kenny O'Connor coming across the line in P11. There we go. Your boy Blue takes the checkered flag here at Zolder in our our AM and Pro-Am class race today. Great driving from all these drivers. There's your top 10 before we get out of here. And let's jump out real quick, folks. We are going to head over to... we're going to head over to the Pro and Silver class race, getting ready to kick off. They should be in practice mode right now. Get this kicked off. We'll go on board for just a moment. We get things reconnected here. There we go. We are set. Now we are on to Pro and Silver class racing. at Zolder. We are going to continue. Folks, I'm going to take just a momentary break. You give me a few minutes here between races. We are currently in practice session. Qualifying will start here in just a moment, and I will be right back. We're going to talk about last week's race because I want to talk about the silver class. We saw a fantastic run happen. It was absolutely insane. So everybody stick with me right here. We are back at Zolder for that pro and silver class race here in just a moment. Great job to the AM class drivers today. AM and pro AM class guys. And I will be right back with you folks. Stand by. right, folks, we are back. I apologize for the longer break than normal, but again, as I said earlier, I'm sick today. I'm really feeling it, and I had a coughing fit during the first race and had to go do some things that maybe, hopefully, not have that happen here during our pro and silver class race. But as we take a look, with 12 minutes left in qualifying, we got plenty of time to look at this. Right now, Lee Dorman leading as he sits in the pits with a 128.172, our fastest lap thus far during qualification. And as I say it, Wilson Fernandez jumps up with a 128.092. So getting just a little bit quicker there. But let's talk about last week a little bit at COTA, Circuit of the Americas. Let's talk about silver class first. Now, I gotta say, last week was insane when it came to the silver class because COTA was brutal in this race. Okay? Absolutely insane. Turn one was, in lap one, was just nuts, and it was horrible. It was absolutely horrible in this race. But what that allowed us to see was our silver class winner from last week, Delilah Hazel, just go ape in that Audi R8 Evo 2 to clinch the top spot in silver. Delilah Hazel leading right now. Lee Dorman, Alejandro Aguilar are your podium. Keep an eye on those three today. Jan Barth and Joshua Baker finishing out the top five. Rob Kesar, Igor Kornikov, Daniel Pickett, Adam Thomas, and Zap, your top 10. Nikolai Tiabuk, Robert Hepburn, Simone Bardari, Niall Schlieder, Armand Petrovics, Kevin Huffman, Ridian Lloyd Davis, Stephen Dunn, Mike Jones, Gilles Alleman, Jason Woolworth, and Louis Ricard finish out your standings in the silver class from last week. Let's talk about pro. Blaine Hall, Charlie Booth, Anthony Anderson, your podium winners from last week. Dmitry Athwal, Sergey Zagorsky, Tom Foose, Tobias Gable, Jake Wells, Dave Alvarez Jr., and Nathan Edwards finishing out your top 10. Continuing down, Remco Ottens, Andrew Haynes, Justin Van Visor, Wilson Fernandez, Garrett Kane, Gasolina, and Wes Hepburn. Your pro standings from last week. So take a look who's on track. Wilson Fernandez right now holding pole, sitting in the pits, but with that 128.092. Fernandez finishing 14th last week, or I'm sorry, not starting the race last week, unable to participate. So now throwing it down, but giving competition to Lee Dorman and Nathan Edwards up there. So our 128s here in the pro and silver class is extending all the way down to P15. So tell me we're not going to have an exciting race today when we've got the top 15 drivers all within 1 second of each other. It's absolutely insane. Just wondering, is that an external software showing the name, time, and positions? It is. It is called ACC TV. And if you'd like after the race, if you remind me as we get towards the end, I'm happy to show you what it looks like. I can throw my screen up and give you an idea. Actually, you know what? If you give me a second, we'll do it now. Just because if I wait till the end, drivers leave and you can't really see anything. So give me 1 second here. And we will do that right now. I'll throw it up there just so you can see it. You guys can kind of see what it is I'm seeing. Oh, and you get to see SimGrid because it's just going to do it without telling anybody. There we go. And there you go. That is what I'm looking at during the course of this race and using to control cameras and every other thing. So that gives you an idea of what I use to try and bring this to you guys. You pulled a me? Were you watching yesterday's race at Oran Park on iRacing? Because it was brutal. Fernandez now back out on track, trying to set a little bit faster lap. Check the deltas and see if anybody's running... Oh, not position deltas. Wrong button. Check that personal best delta. And there we go. Dimitri Athwal with our first 127 of the day. A 127.942. Oh, geez. Okay. I didn't realize it was you, Alex. I don't match up names all the time. Sorry. Yes, I totally speared you at Oran Park yesterday, and I apologize yet again because it was brutal. The curb hooked me, and I tried. I mean, I held the brakes. I don't know what I can do because you hold the brakes in iRacing, and once you hit the grass, it's over. So don't even try. And it's just all over. So taking a look at the deltas, Rob Keesar running up a little bit right now, but not a lot of movement here in our top 10. But yeah, the times are very tight, as Huff said in the chat. As I said, 128's running all the way down to P16. Dimitri Athwal are only 127 so far today. Yeah, I saw you lose spots, man, and that was too bad. I was hoping to see you make a run. Just about under 6 minutes here left to go in qualifying today, and we will get ready for our 45-minute race at Zolder. Folks, don't forget, this is not, this is a Sunday occurrence. You got to come back every week. We love to see you here in the chat. Come and talk to us. We're back next week at Watkins Glen for another sprint race. 2 splits ready to go. And if you want to get on that action, Kevin Huffman right there just dropped it into the chat. Hit our Discord. We want to see you come race with us. iRacing returns next week at Tsukuba. Now listen, right now we got nobody covering iRacing races. That'll probably end up being me at some point in the future. But right now I'm driving with these guys. And so that being said, you can still come and watch me on Saturday be a idiot who runs into people like Box3 Motorsport there in the chat and just plows into him and knocks him off track. So if that's what you're into and you want to listen to me yammer some more, come in on Saturdays at 8 p.m. UTC or 4 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, and I'd be happy to have you have a talk while I try to not drive off track in TCR next week. It's pretty brutal. It's really pretty brutal. Also, if you're more into endurance racing, we are coming back in November after season 4 ends. 6 hours at Donington, Suzuka, and Kyalami. Right into the new year with 12 hours at Mount Panorama in February. I can't wait. I love Bathurst. I love watching the mountain claim these drivers one after another. It's one of my favorites. So be sure you get in here for that and put those on your calendar. Get your team registered now because we want to have you there. And lastly, I will remind y'all, just starting last week, you can catch it on our YouTube channel. Recovery Drive airs every Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. We review the previous Sunday's race. We talk about what's coming up. Myself, a few members of the community. I want to say who, like Alex joins us. Your boy Blue joined last week. It was Anderson joins. There's a few different people that will join though, so I don't want to mention certain people because they might not be able to show up for a week on a Thursday, anything like that. And so it's one of those things that I want to make sure people understand. It's myself, and we just get together with some folks in the community and we talk about people's sim rigs, and we talk about, again, the previous race and what's coming up. So catch us again on Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight. And the other thing I don't have a bumper for, but coming up, and I can't believe I haven't mentioned it yet, folks, November 12th and 13th, we are running a 24 hours at Spa virtual race. Safety cars, full course yellows. We're trying to emulate this as close as possible to the actual 24 hours of Spa. That's not even the best part. The absolute best part of this is it's all for charity. We are raising money as a league for Extra Life. It's our 1-year anniversary as Box3. We are raising money for Extra Life, Children's Miracle Network hospitals across the United States and Canada. And if you have a team registered for that race. Please, if you are streaming it, get in touch with me because I want to focus. I want to put the focus there. I want to make sure if you decide to join our Extra Life team, we want to put a focus on you during that race. It's not a race, it's an event. So put that on your calendar as well. November 12th and 13th, the 24 hours, the virtual 24 hours of Spa from Box 3 Motorsports. I cannot wait to see the people we have show up, the teams we have show up. We're going to have a great time. And yes, you will catch all 24 hours of coverage right here on Twitch, Box 3 Motorsports. Dimitri Athwal still our only 127 of the day so far. Nathan Edwards running a little bit ahead, but now just lost time as he clipped across start finish, not able to move up, currently sitting in 5th. "31 drivers on track today. Is there a way to participate in the event without driving?" Leon, what would you like to do? You tell me what you want to do, and we will find something that you can find a way to participate, sir. Absolutely. We will come up with something. As I said, we want this to be an event. It's not just about the race. Of course, the race is the focus, but we're going to be doing driver interviews. We're going to be talking to the drivers. We're going to be talking to the teams. Maybe play some party games or something. I don't know. Do something. You know, the overnight hours of a 24-hour get very long. They get very sparse. Drivers are spread out. There's not a lot of action. So if you have something you want to do, you come and talk to me, and we'll make it happen, my man. We'll find a way. 100% a community-driven event. We're raising money. It's all for charity. Let's go. Let's have fun. Let's celebrate our 1 year at Box 3, and let's have a good time. Antonio, welcome in. Good evening to you, sir. Tom Foose back with us today. Out in his BMW. Foose, one of the ones that I believe has held on to that M6 over the M4. Charlie Booth back into the pits. The New Zealander himself. Tobias Gable back on track. Good to see more Audis today in the Pro and Silver split. This qualification comes to an end, but we always have to wait till the end. I don't see anybody running up on their laps real high right now, except now Schlieder up about 3/10. Like Schlieder will be one of the last ones to come across here, and doesn't appear as though he's going to gain anything out of this lap. And no, that will be the end. Number 23 for Niall Schlieder. We jump back just a bit. So the grid is set. Dimitri Athwal, Wilson Fernandez sharing row 1. Blaine Hall, Lee Dorman in row 2. Nathan Edwards and Anthony Anderson will start in row 3. Andrew Haynes, Sergey Zagorski in row 4. Stephen Dunn, Charlie Booth in row 5. Tom Foose, Jake Wells, row 6. John Gray and Alejandro Aguilar are going to share row 7. Rob Kesar, Delilah Hazel, row 8. Daniel Pickett and Josh Baker, row 9. Tobias Gable finishing a little further back there in qual than what we are used to. But this is an extremely tight field. Going to share row 10 with Remco Ottens, Dave Alvarez Jr. and Jason Woolworth in row 11. Niall Schlieder, Adam Thomas, row 12. Robert Hepburn, Igor Konikov Row 13, Simone Bardari, sorry, excuse me. Mike Jones, Armand Petrovic, Nikolai Tsiabuk, and Ridian Lloyd Davis finishing up. But again, these times are so tight. So Dimitri Athwal hitting our only 127, okay? But a 127.9. So let's not pretend that he's like leaps and bounds above everybody behind him, because the next driver, Wilson Fernandez, 128.092. He's a 10th off, right? Really close here. To get out of the 128s, we got to go down to P17. And then to get out of the 129s, we got to go down to P29. Nikolai Tsiabuk at a 130 and Ridian Lloyd Davis not having set a time. So this entire grid is within 2 seconds of each other. 2 seconds. That's insane. I don't think we're used to times this tight, especially when we have two classes running in the same race. The times are just never this tight, and either these guys really like Zolder and we're able to get practice in and come in very close to each other, or Zolder's just easy to get these times on. I don't know what the answer is, but wow, a 2-second gap between first to last is just insane. And we, again, as I said about the Pro-Am race, I think we're going to have some good action. I think we had good action during that race, some incidents, accidents, hints, and allegations, but beyond that, I think we had a good race, and I'm hoping the same thing is going to happen here. EG in the chat, I don't like Zolder, especially in this light when I can't see anything. We don't like Zolder, and it's not somebody like Zolder, because they're throwing down the times. Dimitri Athwal qualifying first in the Honda. I'm not sure. This may be one of the first times we have seen a Honda in pole position at Box 3. As always, folks, we like to share here. Again, we are a community, but love to share the love. So if you want to take a look, Armand Petrovic right there is racing on Twitch right now, KBACC. Go check him out. Love for you to stick here, but go support Armand if you want to go support Armand. I think that's a fantastic thing. Please do it. He's a good dude. As we get our formation lap started again, Dimitri Athwal leading us out with Wilson Fernandez in row 1. Blaine Hall, Lee Dorman going to head up row 2. Nathan Edwards, Anthony Anderson, row 3. Andrew Haynes and Sergey Zagorski in row 4 with Stephen Dunn and Charlie Booth. Or as I like to call him, Paul Hogan, starting us off in P10. During this formation lap, get a little bit more of a tour of Zolder. These are the chicanes we keep talking about. That these curbs, and obviously not here during the formation lap, but these curbs, we watched some drivers just send it across them during the course of this race. of the AM and Pro-Am class race. And depending on vehicle, they will bounce hard, and get ready. And that's where the danger in Zolder comes, right? It's not really T1. I mean, we saw some trouble in T1 of the AM and Pro-Am race. But really, the danger comes through these chicanes in lap 1. Everybody's bunched up. Everybody's hammered down on the brakes coming into them. And if one person misses that brake point into those chicanes, it is all over but the screaming. Our driver's now heading into double file. Dimitri Athwal, the inside line into T1. And as we said, you know, before the AM and the Pro-Am race, not your typical, you know, not what we're used to with something like Monza or Coda. This T1, a very fast left-hander, but a very different line from the inside to the outside, so we will see how this plays out. And the lights are green here at Zolder today. Let's go. Heading down into T1. Fernandez nudging ahead right there. And now with the inside line, Fernandez with a little bump out on Dimitri Athwal and able to take up P1. A lot of movement here. Andrew Haynes with contact further back in the pack. Get back up front, though, as we head into the chicane. Fernandez leading a pack of Athwal, Dorman, and Anderson. And a lot of mess in the back. We saw it. Fernandez able to hold on through T1, but still leading this pack of 6 cars. Lane Hall able to take up P5 over Nathan Edwards. Somebody swinging on the outside. Is that Edwards and... Yeah, Edwards and Zagorski playing back and forth. Steve Dunn and Zagorski. Pardon me. Oh, and a spin right there. Hold on, let's back that up real quick because it didn't look like there was contact. Did I miss it? I did. There's a nudge right there, and that's all it took for Steven Dunn to slide out. Now Fernandez and Athwal still closing up front with Dorman looking to take advantage. Well, I would say not all the cars piled on top of each other. Anthony Anderson, though, looking to take advantage. We got to back that up, too. Jump back, see if we can catch it through the chicane. There it is. I don't know. I'm being called contact here, but it didn't look like there was any. But Anderson able to move up into P2. Athwal now back into P4. And Anderson spun and hit. The yellow flag doesn't mean anything to some of these guys as Anderson just gets hammered and drops back very, very quickly. Lee Dorman just hammering him with a Pirelli sign now stuck to the vehicle as Lee Dorman looks to get around Dimitri Athwal carrying that sign with him. I didn't think the trunk on the back of that Honda would be big enough to carry a sign that size, but apparently it is. You know, the question becomes, if we do this, can we see it? Oh, we could, but then it fell out. Maybe that was my fault that it fell out. That's a shame. I liked watching him carry that thing. Like he was changing houses. Remco Otten's already into the pits. Now Schlieder into the pits. Reddy and Lloyd Davis. Anthony Anderson coming in close now as Alejandro Aguilar looks at Andrew Haynes behind him. And another car off into the sand and into the wall. Nobody around him. Jake Wells struggling right there. Out of T4, Daniel Pickett going to look to clean up and take up a spot on him through the chicane. Davis able to get around Armin Petrovic. Davis in the Porsche. I'm not sure we've seen that before, but it is working to his advantage right now as he clears Petrovic. Petrovic's now under pressure from Anderson. And as Armin Petrovic was under pressure, now Anderson going to have to play defense against Alvarez Jr. and Charlie Booth. Booth all the way back to P18 after lap 1 shenanigans. Daniel Pickett and John Gray fighting each other off here. Gray to the inside and able to take it easily around Pickett. And now Pickett losing position to Bardari. So just like that, Daniel Pickett looking to make the move, and then Gray and Bardari coming right back around. Davis leading Petrovic, and Petrovic with Anderson and Charlie Booth right there. Anderson and Booth the closer runners. Get McLaren versus McLaren for just a minute as Jake Wells is white flagged, passed up by Gray and Bardari. Charlie Booth able to get around Anderson now, take up P16. Mr. Paul Hogan, that's not a knife himself on track today. Nathan Edwards and Sergei Zagorski coming together for P4. So far, Edwards able to keep him at bay. You see the impact of that curb on the Bentley of Edwards right there. The bounce on that inside. Not easy to control. Jake Wells under pressure now again from Daniel Pickett. Pickett with damage, but still holding on. Told you we'd have action. Daniel Pickett now going to take up pressure from Lloyd Davis. And just behind these two, Charlie Booth able to pick up position from Armin Petrovic. Move up into P15. So Booth with a little bit of clean air in front of him at this point. Going to give him a chance to stretch his legs. Jake Wells into the pits. And Daniel Pickett into the pits as well. Ridian Lloyd Davis picking up P12 over that. Nathan Edwards with Zagorski up the outside. Zagorski takes up the spot, but these guys are coming into this chicane side by side. Oh my, no. Everybody holds on to get through it. Zagorski holding on to P4 by the skin of his teeth. Wilson Fernandez continues to lead this fray, about 1.5 to 1 second over Dimitri Athwal. Lee Dorman in third, as we watch the battle for P4 right here between Zagorski and Nathan Edwards. Tobias Gable already into the pits. Now the pit window a little different here. It needs to be 7.5 minutes into the session for a pit stop to count. This is a 45-minute race, just about 10 minutes gone now. Edwards stretching out over Tom Foose. With Dave Alvarez Jr. into the pits, Nikolai Tsiabuk moving up into P15. Anderson coming out, Hepburn into the pits. Jake Wells still in there. Tobias Gable back out on track, but coming out in P27. As Aguilar comes to the back end of Andrew Haynes now. Andrew Haynes looking for the move on Aguilar. As these guys switch back and forth and battle across this track. Andrew Haynes able to get ahead for now, but can he hold it? Down through T3, able to open it up now. Andrew Haynes moving up into P7. So Haynes moving up into P7 over Alejandro Aguilar. Dave Alvarez Jr. now coming out of the pits behind the Anthony Anderson. Jake Wells still in the pits back here, now drops to P29. Sitting there a long time. Check in on our front runners. Wilson Fernandez continues to lead with about a 2-second gap back to Dimitri Athwal. Lee Dorman picking up P3 so far. Check in on Armins Petrovics and Mike Jones. Starting to come together here. Jones looking to apply pressure in that Aston. Remco Ottens, Adam Thomas both into the pits. Tobias Gable showing yellow flag. With almost the first 15 minutes gone, let's take a look at the position deltas for today. And just take a look at where folks have gone. Wilson Fernandez up 1, Athwal losing 1 as those two trade spots. Dormand up 1. Sergei Zagorski up 4 spots to take up P4. Tom Foose doing very well today, up 5 spots. Take a look at this though. Simone Bardari up 16 spots, and Iridian Lloyd Davis, as these two come together, actually up 19 spots in today's race. Not to be outdone by Mike Jones, up 15 spots. 15 spots for Petrovics. These guys are crazy. Look at them run. The number of positions gained by some of these drivers is just insane to me. Alejandro Aguilar now picking up a spot as Armand Petrovics gets around Mike Jones. Keep our eyes right here on Simone Bardari and Lydian Roy Davis. Let's jump up though. We gotta look. Andrew Haynes and Delilah Hazel. We talked about Delilah's run last week. T1, back to the back of the grid, ended up finishing top in silver. Cat has got pace, and we're watching it again here, all the way up into the top 10 so far, and looking to make the move on Andrew Haynes, who heads into the pits. And so Delilah Hazel able to pick up P8 out of that. Let's go back to Simone Bardari. Davis into the pits now. So Bardari up into P9. Let's go check on Petrovics and Jones. There you go. Mike Jones able to squeak it through, but is he going to hold on? Oh, a little bit of a shimmy there in that Aston over Petrovics. Able to grip it up, but we're coming into the chicanes. It's anybody's game here. It takes one curb to toss you the wrong way. But Petrovics going to hold on through it. It's interesting up front now. We've watched this gap. This gap to first is down to 1 second. Athwal, let's bring it up here. 88 and 33. So just to take a look here, Athwal. Actually, let's go to Fernandez first, our race leader. Currently across the stint of 11 laps, 28 minutes left to go. Running a 129.087 average. And Athwal with a 129.154 average. So, I mean, we're talking hundredths of a second between these two. Can Athwal push any harder to try and close this gap throughout the remaining, 27 and a half minutes of this race? With things just a little spread out right now, let's take a look. Don't forget, we're back next week at Watkins Glen, 6 p.m. UTC, 2 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time for another sprint race, AM and Pro-Am and Pro Silver splits. You can catch all that action right here. iRacing returns next week at Sakuba on September 24th, 8 p.m. UTC, 4 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. You'll get to watch my perspective as I stream right here live at Box 3. And while I do not have a bumper, I'm gonna remind you all again about our 24 hours of Spa coming up in November, the 12th and the 13th. Please get your team signed up. Please hit me up with information to raise money for Extra Life, and please come help us celebrate Box 3's 1-year anniversary. We're actually running this about a month late for the 1-year anniversary, but it still counts. So again, get your team signed up. Let's go. We want to have an event, not just a race, but an event. So please come join us. Hit the Box 3 Discord for all the information on that. Petrovic appears to be closing in on Mike Jones. There's a little bit of flex there, but overall it seems to be tightening down. We keep an eye out as well on Zagorski and Nathan Edwards for P4. Nikolai Tsiabuk into the pits. Just want to say as well, folks, don't forget, as Lee Dorman heads into the pits, we do have an Xbox League at Box 3 Motorsports. I know I haven't mentioned that much today. They do have events going on right now, a new season looking to start soon. But if you're a console racer on Xbox Series X or S and want to join us, please do. My man B Fife does a fantastic job running that league. An absolute unsung hero of Box 3. The guy is just the GOAT over there for Xbox. Does a fantastic job putting things together, keeping people running, keeping the league running. And overall, just a really great guy. Tom Foose now into the pits, loses spot to Nathan Edwards. So I have to admit, you know, the pro and silver split here, I think a lot more spread out than I expected, given their qualification times. It didn't seem to me that we would have these gaps with 23 and a half minutes left to go that we do. Again, just because of the qual times, they were so close. I expected a lot more battling here, and we're just not seeing a ton of it. So a little interesting. Are people sparing tires so that they don't have to make a tire swap on the pit stop? They can do a splash and dash and go. You know, that's, of course, that strategy plays into it, but it's just curious how, as I said, we're not seeing the battles I thought we would, given the qualification times we saw earlier today. Athwell unable to close the gap to Fernandez, still sitting at about a second and a half to 2 seconds. Zagorski into the pits now, going to drop spot to Nathan Edwards. Tom Foose keeping close here on Petrovic, however. Aguilar into the pits as well. Mike Jones pulling up into P6 after that. Aguilar back out now. But Tom Foose still under pressure from Armand Petrovic here. But with with people coming out of the pits, it seems like Tom is able to open it up. Petrovic's getting caught up in traffic. And now a 2-second gap, so Foose getting a bit of a break here. As the sun sets over Zolder, track temperatures at 17°C. Same as ambient, a lot of shade out there as this is a late afternoon race. As we keep our cameras right here on Petrovic's Aguilar, looking to make a play. And able to clear Aguilar, getting around Petrovic's, picking up P8 rather handily as Delilah Hazel and Bardari now into the pits up ahead. Delilah Hazel, I gotta say, a great runner. Again, we talked about that first race. Now already coming back out of the pits. So going to get a good launch here. Probably drop back a little further, but maybe staying in our top 10 after that pit stop. See if she can hold on. And yeah, going to come out in P9. A great job for Delilah so far today. And we've seen pace. Oh, last week was pace. And I'm hoping to see it again today. We'll see if she's able to close it up on John Gray as Dimitri Athwal now heads into the pits. Nathan Edwards taking up P2. Wilson Fernandez staying out on track, however. Up one spot into P1 for today's race. Bardari into the pits further back. Nikolai Tsiabuk moving up into P14. Athwal already coming back out. 8.9 seconds in the pits. One of our faster ones today. Alejandro Aguilar with only an 8.5. John Gray with a 7.2. A lot of other drivers with 30, 35-second pit stops. So, yeah, damage. Maybe took tires. Decided to risk a tire stop to try and be able to hold on and get a little bit faster lap times in the second half here. Only 18 minutes left to go. Today's pro and silver class race. Nathan Edwards now heads into the pits to clear up P2. Andrew Haynes struggling right now. Daniel Pickett and Charlie Booth both able to get around. Reset bullet, you got it. There you go. Third time's the charm. Don't you worry about it. We got you covered with live timings at pit wall. You type how I feel right now, Bullet. Don't you worry about it one bit. So Fernandez, Mike Jones, Armins Petrovics, still yet to go into the pits today. It'll be curious because Fernandez has a 45-second gap back to Dimitri Athwal. I think he can, if it's a splash and dash, he can get in and out before Athwal gets there and just hold on to the lead of this race. But it could be very close with that. Most of these fast pit stop are 35 seconds in and out. 35, 34.3, somewhere in there. And then about anywhere from 5 to 7, 5 to 8 seconds of stop time. So Dimitri Athwal has opportunity here when Fernandez heads into the pits to really make the jump into first and maybe hold on to it. Let's take a look though at Armand Petrovic's right now. Delilah Hazel applying pressure in that Audi from the back. And Delilah looking to the inside, going to take up P8 just like that over Petrovic's. Great run from Delilah last week, and it looks to be the same this week. Just going to run as hard as possible. As we continue to keep an eye up front on Wilson Fernandez and when they will head into the pits. And there it is right there. Wilson Fernandez into the pits. Let's go focus on Athwal and see where we're at on track and who's going to come out first. Athwal deep on those curbs through the chicane and getting around the back marker very quickly. Wilson Fernandez still showing in pit, waiting for that out change. Fernandez moving. Oh, it's gonna be close. Fernandez now on the out of the pit. Dimitri Athwal hitting about 6 seconds back. Mike Jones now in for his pit stop. And as things level out, about 5.6 seconds out. That pit stop for Fernandez only 5.1 seconds compared to the Athwal's 8.9. So about a 4-second gap there on the actual pit stop itself. As well, the in-out was about a half a second faster for Fernandez. So, yeah, 5 seconds makes sense. And Wilson Fernandez holds on to P1. As now Delilah Hazel is going to apply pressure to John Gray and look for a shot at P6 in this race. Mike Jones struggling, losing position to Lloyd Davis. Davis taking up P11, but Daniel Pickett and Charlie Booth coming together back here for P14 right now. Pickett running wide. Booth on the outside, not quite there, but almost. Is he going to be able to make it in? He is, and able to take that swat and pick up P14 over Daniel Pickett. Nice clean passing right there. So Wilson Fernandez with a commanding lead here at the top of this race. 12.5 minutes left to go. 5.9 seconds over Dimitri Athwal. Fernandez able to clear that pit stop just right, get a plenty of time, about a 4-second jump over Athwal. Nathan Edwards now in P3 off track. Waiting to see if Tom Foose is going to catch up here. Not quite. Foose a little further back. Gap's gotten smaller, but not enough to give Foose that opportunity. Petrovic and Zagorski now for P8. Zagorski parking the front of that Audi right under the wing of Armand Petrovics. Zagorski from BOA Esports. And as you see right there, Armand Petrovic, ZDR boys. And look at the pass. Zagorski pushing hard on it and able to take the inside, picking up P8 from Petrovics. Great clean move on his part. Delilah Hazel, the other Audi in the top 10, along with Lee Dorman. 3 of them up there now. Dorman now looking to make a play on Petrovics. Oh, and a bit of a slide through that chicane is not going to help him close that gap as it opens right back up. Just under 10 minutes left to go. Let's again take a look at that position delta that we talk about so much. How much have, you know, how many spots have... Apologies, folks, that one snuck up on me, but how many spots have these guys gained today? Take a look again. Fernandez up 1, Athwal down 1. They traded spots. Edwards up 2. Tom Foose up 7 spots into P4 so far. Alejandro Aguilar up 9 spots into number 5. All of our top runners here have gained a ton during the course of this race. John Gray up 7 spots. Delilah Hazel up 9. Check this out, though. Armand Petrovics started out at the back end of this grid, is up 20 spots during the course of this race. Same with Iridian Lloyd Davis, up 20 spots today. Not to be sniffed at, Mike Jones, as Dorman and Petrovics trade positions right there. So Dorman able to push up into P9. But again, not to be laughed at, not to be made fun of, Mike Jones up 15 spots. And Nikolai Tsiabuk, and I have said this about Nikolai Tsiabuk before, Nikolai is a consistent driver. You may not find him every race in the top 5 or in the top 10, but you will find him very solid mid-pack, and you will find him very, very consistent that allows him to make these gains. We see these position gains from Nikolai almost every race, and it is fantastic to watch. He does such a good job during the course of these races. He's a lot of fun to watch because he keeps out of trouble and keeps moving forward. Armand Petrovics heading into the pits now. So going to start dropping position there. Jake Wells got yeeted while entering the pits and got totaled by a Bentley. That is a sad race for him. But you know what? Here's the thing. I still see Jake Wells on track, which means Jake Wells doesn't quit. And to me, that's the best thing, is that Jake Wells didn't quit and stayed out there. So let's go, Jake. Doesn't matter. Hang with it, man, and let's finish this race. Let's go. Nikolai Tsiabuk and Charlie Booth. Now Booth running around Nikolai very quick. And Petrovics coming out of the pits, losing 2 spots, both to Booth and Tsiabuk, and now Daniel Pickett. But Petrovics right there. Andrew Haynes gonna join this battle. We haven't seen much of Andrew today, but now gets to battle with Petrovics. Oh, and a push. Little bit of a nudge between Haynes and Petrovics as we come down into the chicane. So Haynes gonna hold on to it, but you know, a little bit of a knock in boots there. Nothing to throw anybody off track, but certainly cost some time. Over 6 minutes left to go. Wilson Fernandez solidly in control of this race. Dimitri Athwal holding on to the P2. Nathan Edwards in P3 right now. Timon Bardari off track. We're going to put things back together. Has not dropped spot yet, but Anthony Anderson right there closing the gap. There it is. Anderson able to take up position. Is he going to be able to hold on to it, though, on the outside of this chicane? Fun times. Here we go. Side by side. Little door banging and a push and a nudge there. That is not good. Anderson and Bardari coming into contact. Anderson going to hold the spot. As the number 324 of Tom Foose tucks in between them. I'm not sure if I'm Tom Foose. I'm happy with where I'm at right now. Just watching these two go to battle. They're both back markers to me. I mean, Foose is sitting up right now in P4. Let me by, and then you two can continue to have your battle, but I don't need to be involved in this. Nikolai Tsiabuk and Daniel Pickett now coming together. Tom with a swirl on the McLaren, letting Pickett just sneak up the inside right there. Tyre's not giving him what he needs to hold on to it, and Daniel Pickett picks up P13. John Gray currently running P6 under a little bit of pressure from Delilah Hazel. Wait to see if that gap closes up at all. Jake Wells continuing to struggle back here, but sticking with it, and that's the part we love to see. Hold on, Jake. Get back to the pits if you have to, man. Rolling deep in the dirt here. And not going to make it. Looks like Jake's going to have to dump back to the pits. Tried his best to keep out of the way and still not do a teleport thing. And able to shoot the gap into the pits right there. So again, Jake holding on, sticking with us into the pits now to repair damage. As we keep an eye on John Gray and Delilah Hazel right there. Let's see if Delilah can close this gap. So Hazel, if we talk about Delilah Hazel, over the course of the last 11 laps, a 130.062 average lap time. Ray's running a 129.9. So much like we talked about before, there's less than a hundredth of a second between these two in lap time. So can Hazel push here at the end with a minute 40 to go and see if she can put herself in a position to take this spot and get P6? I don't know that that's going to happen. Those lap times are so close. Mike Jones looking out for Charlie Booth. Booth shooting by on the outside through the corner. Booth taking up P11 right there. Andrew Haynes getting around Nikolai Tsiabuk, pushing him back to P15. Under a minute left to go here. Welcome in, I Hate You 92. Yeah, the pace just isn't there with this little bit of time left in the race. The gap's not really opening a whole lot, but it's not closing either. So, you know, right now, looking at this, we're talking about, as we take a look, Nikolai Tsiabuk off track. It looks like going to lose position to Petrovics. Again, we talked about Nikolai's consistency, but even the most consistent driver loses it once in a while, so he drops back to P16 here. But yeah, you're right. I mean, I don't know that she's going to catch, I don't think she's going to catch John Gray with such little time left. The race coming to an end. Wilson Fernandez, your leader right here. Still a great run. One last look. Let's go to position delta again. Hazel up 9, Gray up 7, Aguilar up 9, Hoos up 7 spots today. Jones up 16, Petrovic, Tsiabuk both up 14 spots. A great run from a lot of drivers during the course of this race today. I gotta say, and Wilson Fernandez is your winner at Zolder for round 2 of season 4 of PC ACC Racing at Box 3 Motorsports. Dimitri Athrall P2, as Nathan Edwards comes across in P3. That is your podium. Tom Foose in 4th, as Alejandro Aguilar comes across in P5. Folks, that was a great race today from both splits. Excellent time. I apologize for any coughing or any sneezing, anything like that might have snuck through. I appreciate y'all sticking with me anyway. Don't forget, again, we're back for more racing next Sunday at Watkins Glen for PCACC. Also, next Saturday you can watch me drive right here at Box 3 if you want to in iRacing at Tsukuba in TCR. Honestly, not a bad track for the TCR. I might actually do better next week than I did this week at Orland Park. The point is this: thank you so much for joining me. Thanks so much for joining Box 3. Thank you to all the drivers that drove today. Don't forget, we got that Spa 24 Hours coming up in November. Get your team registered, because it's all about charity. It's all about celebrating our 1 year. And I want to see every one of these drivers and more out on track for that full 24 hours that we're going to cover right here at Box 3 Motorsports. Again, thank you to everybody. Guys, have yourselves a great rest of your weekend. Have a great week at work or whatever it is you need to do. I love you. I'll talk to y'all soon.